Welcome to this week's episode of Sequence Break 14, the podcast about Final Fantasy XIV. It is July 20th, 2015, and with me today is Cirrisian.
Mop.
He hasn't been here in a while. Mop. Are you sure it's not mope?
No, it's mop.
Okay, mop.
Mop.
And I guess that guy over there, Orophen.
Blurb.
Jeff is really sick. Last time I heard from him, he sounded like he was dying.
Oh dear.
And I don't know where Shinomori is. And he was going to come. He didn't come. So
He's out saving the world in a James Bond fashion.
Really?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Yes.
Anyway, it's gonna be kind of a chill episode. We've got news such as the Gorditas.
Gorditas!
Good PvP, optional items, and then tips, because we have found that we've gotten a few tweets here, there, and everywhere about noob stuff, I guess, is what they call it. Right?
Sounds so derogatory.
Well,
low-level character usage. Huh?
That's... No,
fuck it, noob stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So we're going to begin with the Gorditas, or Gordias? Whatever. Savage mode for Alexander. So it is going to come out tonight, which is patch 3.05, and it's supposedly a more unforgiving version of the latest raid, which is not that bad. Some people have been griping here and there, saying it's too easy.
A lot of people have been griping here and there.
Trying to make it seem not that bad, but
I know. It's a really irritating subject for me. I guess more because you had Coil and Crystal Tower, and you had all these people talking about how, Savage mode wasn't rewarding enough, and I want difficult content, and then you had the other half of people who wanted story mode, so they found a way to cater to both, and now no one seems happy.
I don't understand that. Like, it seems like they're giving everyone exactly what it is that they asked for, so why are people getting their panties in a twist about it?
I think, personally, this is just me talking I'm going to caveat this right now. I haven't walked in Alexander. I'm almost at 60. I've been slacking and lazy and busy with life. But my theory is that it's really tied to the implementation schedule. When Shiva, Ramu, all that, every primal we've had prior was implemented, hard mode and EX were tied together. You did hard mode for story, and you moved on with your life, and then you did EX for gear. For Alexander, it is hard mode came first, story mode, and that was all that was available. And Savage mode is to come later. And it almost feels like that split almost gave the people who are high-end, bleeding-edge content not enough to do, because from everything that I've heard, what I've seen watching videos, it's nothing super skill-intensive. It's just story mode difficulty, the way it should be. Square has said they wanted to implement this at a level where it was like Final Coil with Echo. And people are, trying to counterpoint that, saying that you had to learn mechanics and all that, but no, they're talking about a very thin time frame. When was Final Coil implemented with Echo? Nearly at like 2.455 or whatever. When that happened, people knew the mechanics. It's not like people didn't walk into tier 10 and didn't fucking face roll it. They did. And I feel like that's the same thing with Alexander. The problem being is that people were expecting difficult content, forgetting that Savage mode was just around the corner. Now, the previous Savage mode that was implemented was Coil. The problem there was that there was no incentive to do it. And everybody goes with a different incentive mentality. Some people want the story to be incentive. But unfortunately, being the type of game that this is, vertical gear progression, the majority of the people that play this game come from games like WoW and like that. They want gear. There was no gear dropped out of Savage Coil. There was no reason to do it. Now that there's a Savage Alexander with gear associated with it that is higher eye level than anything else out there, I feel like this is going to be more run than anything prior.
Okay, but what about Bismarck EX and Ravana EX? Are those things too easy for them at the moment, or because I haven't actually
for the
done
bleeding
those yet?
For the bleeding edge people, they've already got their high weapons. They're done. I've seen people on my Twitter whose entire static already has all their high weapons because they're fantastic raiders. They play a great deal. They know their class. They know how to interact. So for them, beating Bismarck and Ravana was basically a cakewalk.
Yeah, I understand that, but I feel like, because I think the complaint was there was nothing to do. I mean, but there was Bismarck and there was Ravana EX, and if they could clear those easily, I don't think they're gonna waste a ton of time on Savage either, to be honest, Alexander.
They may not, and this is something that we're going to have to see from Square Enix. Square Enix has claimed it's going to be the equivalent of Savage Final Coil, and anybody who ran Savage Second Coil or First Coil, I know a good amount of people who have, they can vouch for the difficulty. It's not a walk in the park, and that might keep them active for a couple weeks. But I guess we're still left to see, and that's the biggest complaint that's out there, is that if Ravana and Bismarck and Alexander are to be indications of the difficulty level of what's to come, just like you're saying, that's where their frustration is. And since they don't have a point of reference to actually look toward, they're sitting here frustrated and confused and worried. But I personally don't feel that's the case, because I'm going to sit here with faith in Square Enix that they're going to remain true to their word like they were with Alexander normal. If that is the case, then this should be a decent challenge for them. If it's not, then we have a problem. We should all talk about that.
I pretty much feel that it is exactly. I mean, people are, worried about Alexander normal. That's story mode. Our difficult mode is coming, just like Siri said. And we have no idea yet. We have no idea how difficult it is, and I guess, be shitting bricks over it right now is kind of pointless. It's coming out.
It's preemptive.
Yeah. We have no idea. We'll find out.
So basically tomorrow afternoon we're going to look at Twitter and we're going to find out whether Square Enix dropped the ball or whether they've kept to their word.
Exactly. I mean, but as of now, doing Alexander in a pug is not my favorite thing to do. I mean, you can clear it, but then you have the people who barely skated by in the Crystal Tower doing it, and you kind of just...
It's also frustrating for someone who is just starting to do it. And I was telling Calaera about my latest experience with Floor 2. I went in there and it was difficult for me because I'd only done it a couple of times. I think only once with our free company. And we had a certain way set down that we did it that enabled us to clear it without too much trouble. But I went into this duty finder party, and because I figured we were going to split the mob somehow, but it seemed like the tank was grabbing everything. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was asking him during the fight, are you going to tank everything? He went ... no. And I'm like, okay, well, then why are you tanking everything? And so I would try to grab things and stuff, and we wiped, of course, because there was no coordination between us. For even this level of whatever it is supposed to be, which is not even Savage, there was no coordination between the two tanks. we wiped. The second time, I tried speaking with them and trying to figure out what was going to happen, and we had some kind of thing planned out, and we wiped again. And at that point, I was really frustrated, and I just rage quit at that point, because I felt like I was screwing up. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and I felt like I wouldn't be able to work it out with these people that I didn't even know. And
I mean, sorry, but I mean, that is a thing. I mean, there is a little bit of coordination that you do need to go through. And I mean, that's the same. Well, actually, it's not the same with other content like story dungeons, if you will. But for this one, you know, there is a little bit more coordination, which I think is good for people. I mean, people should be talking to others and trying to figure out, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and that's what you're going to do. That is why there's a chat. There's a text field on there so that you can touch the letters on your keyboard. They connect to make a word, and that word connects to other words, and it makes a sentence, and that sentence tells other people what the fuck you're doing.
See, you know, you both have actually hit on the major problems of this situation, and that is lack of communication and basically, self-responsibility.
Yes.
It's a problem that WoW had a long, long time ago when they had their 40-man raids. What happened in those situations is you had basically 25, 30 people who knew the mechanics and carried everybody else, and the remaining people would basically sit there and skate by. With 24-man content in this game, World of Darkness and Circus Tower and Crystal Tower, you have a percentage of people who have the ability to, quote, skate by. They don't have to eat meteors. They don't have to stand over on a pad. They can get away with whatever the fuck they want, and they get their content done. The problem with Alexander, and I think it's a good problem to have, is that now you're down to 8 people. The less people you have in a group, the more responsibility and the more self-responsibility a person has. They are now integral to DPS checks. They're now integral to mechanics. And if they don't step up to meet that challenge, then the entire group wipes. And I think those people who have skated up to this point are now finally hitting that wall of, oh shit, I can't get this done. I need to actually do something else. And no one's willing, many of those people are not willing to take that extra step to learn or communicate to find out what's going wrong, what they can do better. And it basically, I really fucking hate to say it, but it comes down to get good. Communicate. Talk with people. Plan a little bit. Just spend those 5 minutes spent at the beginning of any content talking about strategy can either make or break a group. Everybody knows that. I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, it was last night. I was running A1 Alexander Floor 1 with 2 of my free company members, and we basically, it was probably 3 of my free company members, and we found that one DPS, I mean, we had already 3 filled by us in the free company, and one of them was just not helping at all. They were not bringing the ads to where they were supposed to, not killing them where they were supposed to. And it was like, after a while, I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go help these guys. It's ridiculous that 3 people have to be on this side to take care of it, but it has to be done because no one else is doing it. And it was just like, well then, okay.
Yeah.
This is stupid, but
I think this is going to be the first of many great divides between player bases in this game. And the more small, limited man content you have, the more this is going to come up. And the more people are going to be frustrated with horror stories of DF or basically inability to clear. And it could lead to some very, very good things. Potentially, people who are not willing to put forth effort leaving, or potentially bad things where good players leave because they're frustrated. And I think this is more of if this game continues that path, only time will tell which of those 2 outcomes are going to come to reality.
I know for myself, it forced me to learn how to play a little bit better. I mean, learning Bismarck, in the process of learning it, I found ways to be able to cast more. I mean, because in a certain phase, you have to worry about all the tornadoes and AoEs and everything. And I was really stressed out because at one point my DPS was red at 300, and that's low. I was appalled. I was just like, fuck, that's too low. And so I redid things, and I think my DPS went up a little bit because then we were able to clear the content a little bit faster. But you know, you're right. It depends on the person if they're able to step up and realize there are things that they could do themselves to improve their game, or if they just kind of go, fuck it, and continue to try and skate by until no one wants to help them anymore.
Hey, my only issue was it's kind of different when you are doing a particular type of content where you have to actually be the linchpin that ensures that things don't go wrong, which is a lot of the times a tank has to be. Like, you have to kind of be in control and know what's going on all the time. And like in the group that I was in before, I was trying to ask them, okay, so I need some direction here, like, how are we doing this, blah blah blah. And I guess it didn't help that I just wasn't in that great of a mood that day, and it just makes you feel like shit when you can't get a handle on what's going on, and you feel like things are breaking down because of you. So,
well, I mean, you can't blame yourself for that. I mean, in the end of all things, if you attempted to communicate what the problem was, if you attempted to communicate how to fix it, if you attempted to handle the situation to the best of your knowledge and ability, you can't fault yourself for that. If the others, however, do not make the attempt to communicate, do not make the attempt to point things out, do not make the attempt to fix things on their end, then that's where things start to fall apart, because it is a team. And like the really stupid saying goes, there is no I in team. It is.
But there's an I in win.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You have to spell team TIEM.
Time.
That's anyway. You have to be able to work with your group, which is why I kind of just, after a while, I'm like, fuck it, I don't want to do it with other people because it's too stressful for me. I'm kind of like having to babysit other people, and I don't want to. I just want to focus on other things and just get it done and over with and not have to babysit.
That was also my thought. I was like, well, I don't want to do Duty Finder with strangers. I'd rather do it with my own free company, which I know will be patient with me and explain things to me in a way that I can understand. And I don't feel bad about wasting their time because, I mean, whatever. I know these people, and they're not going to feel like, oh, man, this Orophen guy, what's he doing? Oh my, I just wanted to come home and do blah blah blah, and he's like fucking it up for everybody. I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen with my own group. I feel comfortable with them, but at the same time, I mean, I cannot be a competent tank if I can't. I don't think I can if I can't go out in the Duty Finder and mesh and mix it up with other groups.
That also kind of
the only way that I can learn.
Well, that also kind of sounds like it's derivative of the NA version of how we play this game, where we don't use Party Finder to learn. We use Duty Finder to learn, where theoretically Duty Finder should be, you know what you're doing, you get in there to go get something done, and Party Finder is the, we're going to stick together. That's why you have that one line, until we complete our duty. Like, in my mind, that's where you would theoretically learn, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that way in NA.
No, it's not. In fact, it's really stupid and backwards where people rage quit because, fuck,
You don't know. You haven't looked. We haven't cleared it within 5 minutes. Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
And that's. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. It's like
that's a whole nother problem. But I think that if you like Kala said, if you're taking the time to at least ask and try and make yourself better upon walking into that instance, then you are not wholly at fault.
Yeah. I think I'm a bad tank.
Okay.
Quit.
Anyways, I'm gonna go back to the Alexander Gorditas thing because right now we only touched on it and then we started to get a rant. So
yeah, we ranted. Sorry.
Progress is reset every Tuesday at 1 a.m. Pacific time. You can have 8 players, 90 minutes. In order to get into there, you must have a job at 60. Duh. You have to talk to the Wandering Minstrel, and you have to have completed Enigma and the Ultimate Ballad quests.
So, now what's Enigma?
That's a good question. Let's copy, Google, SBXIV.
It's in the Germanian hinterlands. It's given by Red Bricks. It looks to be. I think it's tied to the Alexander line.
Yeah, it's the basically how to get into Alexander.
The Ultima Ballad is just the Ultima fight, right?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, so now this is important. If you were deciding that because they changed it to where people can re-enter the floor, even after clearing it. If your party decides to include or try to carry someone, people who sell runs, blah, 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 blah. This is important. Chess. If you have anywhere between 1 to 4 players that have already cleared the floor beforehand, you only get 1 chest. Anywhere from 5 to 7, you get no chests.
That's hefty.
It is. That is pretty hefty.
But, so is this the death of run sales?
I hope so. I mean, because I think that even though it was kind of okay, like economy-wise, because people could end up, people did that in order to buy their houses, like their mansions or something. But I think that it will force people to actually learn stuff because if they really want their drops, they got to do stuff. And I mean, there's no point in doing it for story because there's a story mode. The only reason to do it is to do it for the gear drops.
So you think they might have been targeting these run sale parties specifically?
I think that was one of them. Yeah.
And they may be trying to keep the content relevant longer.
Yeah. Rewards. So treasure coffers, of course. You will also get a manifesto from each area, which can be exchanged for your gear of choosing. Players will only receive 1 page of the Gordian manifesto per area each week upon completing said area for the first time. Yay! I think it'll be a while before I can get into Savage mode. I'm still looking forward to it though.
What is the minimum eye level again?
There has been no posted minimum eye level, but in order to get into Alexander normal, the minimum eye level is 170. So that's probably the starting ground.
A good baseline, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get on to the new PvP encounter preview, the Seal Rock. It's a Seas. It looks cliff rockery? It's on a beach. There's pier, there's cliffs, there's
honestly when I saw that shot I thought of there's a rock out here by the Cliff House on San Francisco's Baker Beach. It felt very much like that.
Oh, cool.
But it wasn't covered in poop.
There are no role requirements or restrictions for parties, so if you want to have a party full of white mages, you can do that. You can change your jobs freely. But your parties must all be part of the same grand company. So Ciri and I can't play, but I can try and kill him.
You won't. Because I don't PvP. I'm lazy. That's so much effort. It's so much. I'm barely hitting 60 now. It's like I don't have time for PvP.
Why'd you bother switching then if it doesn't matter?
Because I have my reasons, and they tie to the story, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
Anyway, rules of engagement during a frontline siege campaign, players aid their company by retrieving data from the Allegan Tomoliths and defeating players from opposing teams. The first team to accumulate required amount of data will be declared the winner. So I guess it's like hackers with swords?
Kind of. It sounds like hold a point for X and you gain points as long as you're holding it.
Yeah. There's like these different kind of... I'm trying to find a name for them.
Nodes? Let's use nodes.
Nodes are... No, but they're called tomoliths. But they don't look like a tomolith. They look
might as well be nodes.
Not even a monolith.
What do you... I mean, they're shaped like a monolith.
One of them shaped more like a penis than anything.
That's what a monolith looks like. Giant penis jutting out of the fucking ground.
Anyways, they're divided into ranks S, A, or B, kind of like hunting marks. And the higher up you go, the greater your data will be. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's not like point holding.
Yeah, so you'll get PvP, EXP, and wolf marks, as well as Allegan Tomestones of Law and Esoterics, based on your performance. So if you want any of those, yay! Go do that. The last part of news that we have are optional items. We have 2 new minions. How do you say her name?
Alice.
And Tataru. So both cute, both female, I think.
One less evil than the other.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No, because Alice, was like, come with me deeper into the bowels of...
Because she was looking for her grandpa.
Well,
she was concerned. It was like filial piety and shit.
And the other one's just fucking evil.
Yes, I'm glad we're in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
We're not.
I said us, not you. You're crazy.
Yeah,
you've been wooed by her feminine wiles, her feminine Lalafell wiles.
Sure, that's what it is. Nothing more sexier than a Lalafell.
Nothing sexier than a potato.
If you're interested in buying either one, you can get them at the Mog Station for $5 each. And I'm a sucker who got them both.
I'm gonna buy them soon. Head down.
Head down, of course, because they're cute anyway.
They're adorable.
And
also, I really like the flavor text for Alice. Have you read it yet?
I can't remember. I did, but I forgot it. What was it?
It basically references the Alphino doll, and that the company that made them mass-produced them, and they didn't know what to do with the extras, so they just slapped a bow on it and put some makeup on it, and made it Alice. I thought that was super damn adorable.
Oh, yeah, I did read that. That was really funny. Like, what are we going to do with all these Alphinaud dolls?
Nobody want an Alphinaud doll.
You got it for free.
I've got 30 of them.
Yeah, see? I don't really want one. I mean,
mint in box.
Like, maybe if I keep it in the box, it'll sell for more later. Anyways, we are going now into new person leveling, so other tips and tricks that you can have under your belt or belts. Who knows? Your pouches. Anyways.
Your tunic? I don't know.
Tunic? Well, no, because warriors don't wear tunics. They wear...
Warriors totally wear tunics. What are you looking at?
Mm-hmm. They wear dresses later, too.
Oh, yeah, they do, huh? Hmm. And always leveling. So if you are starting out in Heaven's Ward, you can just do the storyline. Really. Just do the fucking storyline. And you will actually soar past 50 doing the storyline and only the storyline, I heard.
There's a small hang-up right around level 40-something, but it's a little deeper in than what we had. But the storyline actually carries you way farther than it ever did prior. Mm-hmm. It's going to hand you gear, and it's going to carry you up into just about 43, 44-ish, before you actually need to start grinding dungeons.
Which, that is pretty good. I mean, you don't have to worry really about grinding dungeons, but if you do want to do the dungeons and you do want to grind them for whatever reason, I highly recommend finding a friend or 2 or 3 to run the dungeon with you, because they will get bonus EXP or gil. And I mean, who wouldn't want that? I would want that.
Exactly.
So
I always recommend spamming leaves, because you get gil, you get a lot of gear from them that you can sell or use for yourself when you're going up, and it supplements the storyline quite well. I don't know how much they've changed it. I hear you guys mention that they have, so that the storyline actually pulls you through more levels. But when I started, leaves were the thing that I focused on primarily, even though a lot of people did dungeons and fates and stuff. I found that the leaves were a lot easier to handle. I mean, you could just do them over and over again, and you got a lot of practicing with whatever job that you were in, and you got a lot of reward for what you were doing. So
actually, my tip, but kind of banging up both ears, it's tied in directly, and a lot of new players don't know this because they weren't around when it was implemented, but at level 15 you unlock your challenge log. It's done through Limsa Laminsa, and I forget the exact name of the quest, but it's down by the Fisherman's Alley. And it is one of the most important things as a leveling character you will have at your disposal. And it's basically things to do throughout the week. Do X dungeons, vote X times for player commendation, do X leaves. So taking Cala's point to do dungeons, taking Oro's point to do leaves, and combining those, they actually hand you a chunk of XP for completing these achievements throughout the week. And it resets every Tuesday. And even leveling up to 60, where I'm trying to do right now, is really, really important, because that chunk is not negligible. For doing 3 dungeons, you essentially get 100k experience at 59. And that's a good chunk to get you moving forward, on top of the chunk you're getting for doing other content.
There was something else. Oh, guild tests.
Yes.
Every time, even if you do a new job, even if you're like kind of ADD-ish and you're like, man, I'm not sure I like this one, I'm not sure I like this one. Every time you do a new job and you do a guild test, if you did it the first time on that job, it gives you a bonus. So make sure that you go through them, even if it's just once on your first job. You get bonus. No reason not to do it. Quick, it's easy, and it's a lot of EXP for doing nothing.
Also, don't neglect your hunting log. I think that was like a really big thing for me when I was leveling up my classes other than Warrior and Paladin, since I had already like done those in 1.0. You get a lot of EXP, and you're basically hunting down mobs and stuff. You get to learn the area pretty well, and I think that's a really major thing to follow also.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to gearing, you're going to find yourself going through the levels really quickly. Quests, dungeons, leaves, they all give you gear. Should you worry about upgrading your gear every now and then? Depends on your job.
If you are a tank, for God's sake, make sure your gear's within 5 levels.
Yes.
Please. It is one of the most important things as a tank that you can do.
If you're a DPS, you'll want to make sure that your weapon is up to date, because it will increase the damage output that you have. Make sure your armor isn't too underleveled, only because in case you get hit by something, you want to be able to make sure that you can live through that. Healers, I don't know.
It's not really so bad on healers. Your gear's a lot more flexible.
Yeah. I mean, just as long as you survive, you can cure yourself. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Other things that make it easier is if you have gear that is, I think, either pink, green, blue, or purple that you don't have any use for, even if you greed on all the items if you can't need on it, and then turn it into your grand company. The reason being is that because if you do that, then you get more company seals. With the added company seals, you can either buy yourself armor, items, weapons, or if you have a house, furniture, or if you want to one day level up your Disciple of Hand or Land class, you can get items for that as well. So it's a good point to try and turn those unwanted items in for something that you can get later for wanted items. Woohoo!
Kind of going off that dungeon dynamic, and this might be a small bit of a sidetrack. One of the things that I think new players gloss over, or they hear so many other people talk about, is basically your role in the dungeon. And you need to pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing as a primary focus. If you're a tank and you have a blue tank symbol, you probably want to focus on gear, defense, vet. If you're a red symbol, you're obviously DPS. You want to focus on your weapon, like Cala said, and doing damage. If you're a healer, you have the green symbol. You want to make sure that you're healing. That is your primary job. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter and Reddit, and people who are coming back trying to play around, and tanks that are going full strength in all of their gear and not paying attention to defense, or healers that are just tunnel visioning to DPS. There's nothing wrong being in a dungeon and supplying supplemental DPS as a tank or a healer. But if it comes at the expense of doing your primary job, then you're not being helpful to your group. No. And I think that's a very, very important distinction to make, because people try and make this black and white. They try and say, you're a healer, you shouldn't be DPSing. Or, you're a healer and you're standing there, why aren't you DPSing? It all comes down to you as a player. And if you understand the dungeon that you're in, and you've run it a few times, you see the group can handle it, throw out a dot, throw out some ruin spam or some stone 2s. Because every little extra bit helps. But don't do it in lieu of healing the tank, because once he goes down, if you were doing everything you could to keep him alive and he goes down, there's something wrong. But if he goes down because you're DPSing, that is a problem.
And the same goes for tanks.
Yes. If you're not using your cooldowns appropriately and you're just focusing on, well, I'm a Dark Knight tank and I'm going to wear all slaying accessories and I'm going to focus all onto strength and I'm just going to beast everything. In questing, you'll do just fine. In a dungeon, you may not live, and it's not the fault of the healer for not healing you. It's the fault that you did not focus on doing your primary job first. As those supplementary roles, healer and tank, DPS is a secondary notion. Your primary job should be taking punches to the face or healing somebody. DPS comes second.
And for you DPS out there, don't be like Cala. Actually, I'm pretty good. I mean, if you run ahead because you're like, oh yeah, look, I can run ahead because the tank is so slow. Don't be dumb and pull the mob. You're not a tank. You can't live through it. If you keep pulling things and the tank is overwhelmed and the healer is overwhelmed, you are gonna be dead. And that's not going to be fun, because then you won't DPS and you won't have numbers, and then you'll be at the bottom of the rankings of your DPS and you're going to cry because your DPS peen has just shrunk.
Mm-hmm. And on top of that, a heal does not supplement AoE damage. If you're standing in the middle of the bright yellow circle, you should move. It's part of your job as DPS is to minimize your own damage while still cranking out DPS.
And don't tell me that you can't move, because you can. There's other ways of doing damage from far away.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I've seen a lot on Twitter and Reddit, and I'm seeing newbies being chastised for trying to help. Nothing wrong with trying to help, but you got to make sure you're doing your role first. Yep. That's all I got to say about that.
All everything's a learning curve. And I mean, if you can understand that your actions and your lack of actions do something to the party as a whole and not just you, then, learn from it and kind of tweak things as you go along. Other than that, I think that is it. Oh, free companies. Now, a lot of people are like kind of wondering, what is a free company? It's basically a guild. There's not that many guild things to do, but you have a guild. It's easy to find a lot of guilds. It's not easy to find one that you will feel at home with. There are places where you can find a guild, or a free company, as they call it here. On the lodestone, you can go to free company, and then under there, you can select the world that you're going through, select the active amount of members, select the focus, and then select the recruitment. Open, not open. It's closed, so then of course you can't join, but you want to select open because you want to find one. And then if they have a particular grand company they support, you can select that too. But that will help you find a free company if you're in search of one. Other option is to grab a few friends and start your own. That's what I did. I have no regrets.
You did pretty well, boss lady.
I don't know. I have this member in the free company, and he's so troublesome.
Oh, really? Does the name start with an O?
No. I mean, okay, so the past few days, I've been cleaning the bank. I've been cleaning it out of all the items and reorganizing everything. And then all the superfluous stuff I've been selling for the bank. And then I had it all the way up close to 15 million gil, because we're slowly saving up for a bigger house. And then it got to 15 mil. But then that fucking asshole left 1 extra fucking gil at the end, so that it read 15 million gil plus 1.
I think the important thing to take away from the situation is that we broke the 15 million barrier as a guild. And any extra money is incentivizing other members to contribute and push it to 16.
You're a motherfucking asshole, and I'm going to take you down.
I had a lot of fun with that last night. It was quite fun.
Oh, I was like, I looked at that, and I was so like, who the fuck did that? Who the fuck did that? It couldn't have been Riz. Riz wasn't on. And then
Riz is the one that started it, and we're just trying to help. We want that house just like you do.
I'm gonna strangle the fucking shit out of you, boy.
Oro's just gonna kill me. Help.
No, don't expect me to help. I'm already on our death list.
Help!
And I think that is it. Oh, there's one more thing. 2 more things. Haha, 3! 1,
wow.
2, 3.
That was fast.
1, we still need entries for a Carbuncle contest. You can find that at sequencebreak.com. 2, next weekend, let me get the specific date.
26th, I think it
July 26th, yes, we will be on the Whispering Dawn podcast, another podcast all about Final Fantasy XIV. And they will be joining us on our next episode, to be determined, on whatever topics we decide to talk about.
Stuff and things.
Whatever.
The economic crisis facing Eorzea today.
So you can expect us and them on each other's shows sometime very, very soon.
Woo!
And I think that's it. Is that it? Was that 3 things? I think that was 3 things.
That was 3 separate things.
Woohoo!
You counted correctly.
I did count correctly. Haha. So, I am tired of talking. I can feel my voice go, because I had to yell at so many kids today. Like, you sit down!
You don't get any graham crackers!
Oh, don't get me started on that. That girl.
Is that really a thing?
Oh, she was so pissed at me because she was like, I want my snack! Like,
Oh, I was just joking.
To sit
I'm
down.
sorry. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Stop.
That's so right. Oh, but it was like a test of will. She was glaring at me, and I was like, "Grr." Anyway, Oro, you can do the credits.
You can find us on sukinspreg.com. If you want to send us an email, you can shoot us an email at podcast@zatnasukin.net. I think now's the time we do plugs, right?
You forgot the Twitter account.
Oh, yeah. You can also tweet us at SBXIV.
You can also give us donations, Patreon. If you want to do a one-time donation, make sure to shoot us an email, and we'll send you the details on how to do that. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter, Calaera. Siri!
You can find me on Twitter at CIRRISIAN. Please don't forget to send us entries for that carbuncle contest. It's sitting on top of my bookshelf and it looks very lonely and sad. It needs a home.
Doesn't it have friends right now?
Those are my friends. I've isolated him. Save him from the mean Siri.
No, actually, you should save the carbuncle from the cats.
They can't reach there.
Oh, really? They can't?
Not that bookshelf.
Okay.
So it's safe for now.
For now. For now.
Laggy's eyeing it. You must save it from my cat.
You can be a bitch sometime.
Oro?
Hakomichi.net. HAKOMICHI.net. That's all you need to know.
And I guess we're done.
Cool.
Goodbye. Bye.
Bye.